If they hear something like God doing everything for His own glory and that everything's about God, they don't want that. No one wants that unless their heart has been truly regenerated by the Holy Spirit. Unless they've become a new creature, recreated in the image of God. So when Berkhof says, in seeking self-expression for the glory of His name, God did not disregard the well-being, the highest good of others, but promoted it, people who are all about this world and this life are going, but how? Because the greatest way they could see themselves promoted is to get what they want. But the truly converted heart says, by God showing us, God, He's giving us the greatest blessing, the highest promotion. The supreme end of God in creation, the manifestation of His glory, therefore includes as subordinate ends the happiness and salvation of His creatures and the reception of praise from grateful and adoring hearts. Hodge writes, A. A. Hodge, nothing can so exalt and bless the creature than being made the instrument and the witness of the infinite Creator's glory. Now, think of this. We're not only witnesses of it, we're instruments. Not only do we get to view God's glory through His workings in the world, but we realize that He is working also through us to demonstrate His glory. So you see, there's even a sense now in my weakness. Although I mourn over my own failure, at the same time, that failure is being used to promote the strength, the glory, and the greatness of God and His salvation. So exciting. Hugh Benning. If you can get his works, I really highly recommend it. It's almost impossible to find it. Young man, died early, wrote a lot of good stuff. It says, His Majesty's seeking of His own glory is not prejudicial to the creature's good, but the very communication of His fullness goes along with it, so that in glorifying Himself, He is most beneficial to His own creatures. Our blessed Lord is then doing most for our advantage when He does all for His own glory. That's a wonderful statement. Let me read it again. Our blessed Lord is then doing most for our advantage when He does all for His own glory. Now look at this. This is amazing. O blessed self-seeking that gave us a being and well-being, that makes no advantage of it, but gives advantage. He hath the honor of all, but we have the profit of all. Now look at the way he writes this. I mean, people don't talk this way anymore. O blessed self-seeking. He's blessing the fact that God is self-seeking. That God is doing everything for His own glory. He's blessing this. Oh, blessed self-seeking that gave us being. If God did not act for His own glory, you wouldn't even exist. Do you realize that? Neither would I. Because why? He didn't need to make us. He wasn't lonely. It was His self-seeking. It was His seeking after His own glory that brought about our existence and our well-being. We don't deserve well-being. The world should be like the play Waiting for Godot. I mean, there should just be nothing of beauty. Everything should be gray, insipid, horrid. There should be no leaves on trees. Nothing. The question is not, why do bad things happen to good people? The question is, why does anything good happen at all? There shouldn't be babies being born today and people rejoicing. There shouldn't be weddings. There shouldn't be leaves about to spring out on trees in another month. Everything should be bad. The only reason there's well-being is because God is seeking His own glory and proving His goodness to wicked men. That makes no advantage of it. God takes no advantage of this because He needs no advantage. He's God. But gives advantage. He hath the honor of all, but we have the profit of all. It's like, I don't want to be trite, but it's like, when you say to somebody, you go for it. My wife sometimes uses that phrase, you go, girl. We just need to, it's just like, look at God. You go for it, God. Do everything you do for your own glory. Just go for it. That's what we want. And it springs forth also for our advantage and our profit. I mean, that's just utterly and completely wonderful. It is. And when you start looking at it this way, when this becomes your motivation, circumstances no longer really are an issue. Results, they can be a good thing, but that's about it. Doesn't matter. It's Him. It's Him. It's all about Him. Now, of course, Charles Spurgeon, I can't leave him out, my favorite friend. He says, man's chief end is to glorify and enjoy God. God's greatest and highest object is to make to Himself a glorious and an everlasting name. That's why God saved you. We're going to see that later in the text. God saved you to make an everlasting, a glorious name for Himself. Since God is God, it must be so. It has to be. Someone's got to be first. Someone, it has to be Him. For He is full of love and kindness to His creatures, and He cannot more fully bless His creatures than by making Himself known to them. What's the greatest thing He can give you? Himself. Everything that is good, true, holy, excellent, loving is in God. That's how those terms are defined. And that's where they're found. In Him. He is not only the giver of every good and every perfect gift, but He is Himself the sum and substance of all blessing. I want God to bless me. Well, then you want God. Because God is the greatest blessing He can give you. And it is for the highest good of all the creatures He has made that they should know their God. That they should know their God.